I'm Edward Cheong, candidate A from 1 PPISMP PJ1.
My name is Jason Ling. My option is physical education. I'm candidate B.
My name is Wilson Sen from 1 PPISMP PJ1. I am candidate C.
A wonderful morning to each and every one of you. The topic that we will discuss today is the best way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. I would like to invite any of you to kickstart this discussion by giving us your opinion. The situation given to us is a group of international students visiting our college. We are members of the organizing committee and need to figure out which is the best way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. There are many attractive things in Malaysia that always astonish visitors having different backgrounds, such as our delicious local food, traditional dances, and open houses during festivals. To show respect to the international students visiting our college afterwards, we have to present them with the best things in Malaysia. In my opinion, the first thing that jumps in my mind when Malaysia is mentioned is our delicious local foods, which have consistently ranked well across the world. For example, our Penang Asam Laksa has made it into the list of the world's 50 best foods by CNN Travel, earning a spot in the top 10, making us proud. I believe that the international students visiting our college soon will be interested in the spicy sour fish broth with noodles that came in seventh. I do think that they will have a high interest in our local food, having unique and different tastes that have highlight our traditions and culture, which is totally different from their countries.
I agree with your point that Malaysian folks have attracted foreigners, making Malaysians proud in the world. But I think that our unique traditional dance are the most effective approach to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. What is the traditional dance? The definition as any local dancing tradition, often strongly connected with local musical forms and local beliefs. The traditional dance can also be another term for folk dance or sometimes even for ceremonial dance. Malaysia is a multi-racial nation. There are many races in Malaysia. Three of them were considered as the main races in Malaysia. They are Malay, Chinese, and Indian. Each group has different cultures and different art, yet still they are able to live harmoniously in one place. Although our languages are not the same, don't worry about this. This is because Malaysian people have a good character, like being easygoing. They know the prohibition for every ethnicity and don't offend them. Besides, the Malaysian people are energetic people. Every ethnic group has their traditional dance. For example, traditional Malay dance such as Bansawan, Mat Yong, Rantai, and so on. Traditional dance Chinese such as fan dance, lion dance, dragon dance, and so on. Traditional dance Indian such as Odissi, Manipuri, and so on. The other traditional dance such as Sawan for indigenous people, Sumada for the ethnic group of Dayak, and so on. Traditional dance in Malaysia are very different in the way it's performed. However, all of them are joyful dance and filled with spirit. Every dance represents all kinds of elements such as beauty, grace, and delicacy. In Malaysia, even with multicultural, different dance move, yet those are the ones that bring our country together. As a result, I think that traditional dance is the best way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture.
I agree with your viewpoint, but I have mine as well. I believe that holding open houses during festivals is the finest method to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. Malaysians, in certain ways, can define the festivals. Malaysians celebrate a variety of festivals since they are a melting pot of races, religions, and traditions. During cultural and religious events such as Chinese New Year, Hari Raya Puasa, Deepavali, and Christmas, Malaysia is known for its open house idea. Friends, family, and even neighbors will pay a visit to those who are celebrating the event to wish them well and partake in the feast prepared by their host. Malaysians celebrate several festivals throughout the year. I would like to go over each of Malaysia's festivals one by one. First, let me explain what the Chinese New Year is all about. The Lunar New Year brings to light some of China's most unique traditions and ceremonies. The Chinese community in Malaysia celebrates this occasion. It is traditionally associated with family gatherings, fireworks, the lion dance, Mandarin orange, and the giving and collection of ang pao, which is red packets with money in them. The celebration, which used to celebrate the start of spring in China, starts on the first day of lunar calendar year and finish on Cap Gome, the 15th day. After that, I'll explain what Hari Raya Puasa is. Eid ul-Fitr, the most important Muslim holiday, commemorates the end of Ramadan, the month of fasting. In Malay, the term Hari Raya refers to a day of celebration. The event, known locally as Hari Raya Puasa or Hari Raya Aidilfitri, is determined by the sighting of the new moon on the day before the Muslim calendar's next month, Shawwal. Deepavali is one of Malaysia's most prominent celebrations. It is a Hindu celebration commemorating Lord Krishna's victory over the demon Narakasura. Light triumphs over darkness, and good triumphs over evil. Diwali, or the Festival of Lights, is another name for Deepavali. In Hinduism, light is significant because it represents goodness. To fend against darkness and evil, dips or oil lamps are lit throughout the day and into the night and at the Festival of Lights. I think that open houses are a bridge that can improve the cognitive processes of Malaysia's traditions and culture.
Well, candidate C, in your point, an open house is a quick way that makes foreigners understand Malaysia has many different cultures and thus increasing their interest in Malaysian traditions and culture. However, I still think that local food is the best way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. This is because food provides us with energy and we cannot avoid intaking food every day. That's why food is the easiest way to influence one's perspective about a person, state, and country. Besides, we can share our traditions in food. Banana leaves, for example, are used to wrap our foods such as nasi lemak, char kway teow, and kueh kueh. Some of the restaurants will place a piece of banana leaf under the dishes on the plate. We also have a traditional dish called banana leaf rice. In comparison to other countries, particularly Western countries, this is a massive and completely different culture. This might be a completely new thing to international students, not only amazed by the unusual truth of the forefathers in Malaysia, but it is also environmentally friendly, giving a good impact on the earth. Okay, let me give you a situation. When international students observe that banana leaves are used to bake the food served. They for sure may have asked us for this very weird but excellent idea. Then it is a good opportunity for us to explain the culture and tradition of Malaysia. We can explain the reason for putting banana leaves, which is to soften the meat and also give a special aroma to the dishes. I do think that they will be amazed by our culture and thus have an interest to explore our culture and traditions furthermore. Once again, we eat food every day so that we can influence them day by day by our foods that have many types and options for them to enjoy their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If they love to eat something spicy, we can serve them with curry. If they like to taste sweet, of course, our Malaysia traditional kueh, if sour, then asam laksa for sure. If they might take some drinks, our mamak teh tarik, Ipoh white coffee, and Milo are the best. Based on the delicious examples given, I would like to say that serving local foods is the best way to introduce Malaysian culture and traditions to international students.
I understand what you are saying, Candidate A, but I don't think that this point is more suitable to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. I strongly support my view of traditional dance. Now, I've given some reasons why I support it. First and foremost, the traditional dance can be represented in a way of dancing, a graceful dance, colorful costumes, slow movements, and fast that catches the attention of everyone. The international students can learn and study step by step by their teacher. They can also get some benefits from it, like boosting learning capabilities, memory, and all around brain power. This is because they must remember the steps of traditional dance. According to scientists, they found that Zumba, which is the Latin dance inspired workout, help, im- help improve cognitive skills like visual recognition and decision making, along with mood. Furthermore, traditional dance can also help international students to release their stress. As the saying goes, all work and no play makes Jack a do boy. Various studies also suggest that dance therapy might also reduce depression and psychological stress in people who have serious illnesses such as breast cancer or Parkinson's, as well as in students. Secondly, the traditional dance can also be a storyteller, telling the story in every movement and sequence of the dance. This is because every traditional dance has a story behind it to be understood by other cultures. For example, Joget, also known as Rongen, was introduced to Malays in Malacca during the turbulent 16th century. The two most popular Portuguese folk dances are Branjo and Farapera. Both were flashback to the advent of Joget. The Joget is a fast-paced, famous dance that may be found throughout Malaysia, Sumatra, Borneo, and the Real Archipelago. It redeems itself with a catchy beat and a pleasant blend of both hands and legs moving quickly. The Joget, a Malay archipelago, was known as the Rentak Lagu Dua, which means interaction between lovers in displaying song with aliveness and cheerfulness. Joget's music and dance depict a hybrid character. Tambo, which is taken from the Portuguese language, is a musical instrument played during a Joget performance. Other instruments used during the performance include violins and frame drums. Other textures, such as the gong and pantun, which is Malay pottery, as well as the fundamental techniques, are indigenous. Joget music includes Joget Asam Kana, Joget Instan Lukut, and joget songkot meren. Furthermore, the experienced teacher can teach them about the knowledge and skill to let them has the opportunity to perform it in Malaysia or their country. As a result, the traditional dance is like a power to introduce our culture and tradition in Malaysia.
I see candidate A and candidate B of logic because local food and traditional dance really can improve the knowledge of the international students about Malaysia's culture. Still, I think my point is the best because open houses can include all these aspects while international students visit different races' house openings. They will have a show about their traditional dance, for example, Zapin, Joget, Asli, and Inang. Not only that, if the house owner has the traditional games of Malaysia, such as Congkak, Congkak is a Mancala game of Malay origin played in Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, southern Thailand, and also some parts of Sumatra and Borneo. The word Congkak was believed to have originated from the Old Malay Jongak, which means mental calculation that was practiced in this game. It was considered that a good player will have an advantage in collecting points to win the game when the player calculates a few steps in advance. In the process of playing a traditional game, I think that the relationship between the villagers and international students will be strengthened and make the international students know more about our country.
Excuse me, sorry for disturbing candidate C. I would like to talk about you saying that the opening house includes the traditional dance. Despite saying open houses during the festival introducing Malaysian culture and traditions, a traditional dance show in the open house is what affects them, right? So, you accept my view, right? The traditional dance is the finest approach to introduce Malaysian culture and traditions. This is because international students can learn about traditional dance through opening houses and perform it in their home country. As a result, our Malaysian customs and culture are well known throughout the world.
The open house culture in our country will foster racial togetherness. Guests will be mingled with other guests while attending the open house. As a result, they will be able to socialize and communicate with one another. As a result, togetherness and understanding among guests from all backgrounds will be increased indirectly. We can recognize more local friends to enhance our relationship. Open house culture is the best way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. On every visit, the international student will receive some information about each ethnicity in our country. For example, the bulk of family reunions turn their focus to food, delicious food, once the family links have been acknowledged. The Malay word for a party is pesta, which is related to the Spanish word fiesta, which means feast. Many ladies of the house and their Indonesian maids will work overnight to prepare a smorgasbord that looks like a visual encyclopedia of Malay cooking for their guests, with highlights including beef rendang, satay sticks served with peanut sauce, and a plethora of seasonal rice delicacies like ketupat dumplings lovingly hand-wrapped in palm leaf pouches, or lemang, which is glutinous rice cooked. Some of these foods have recently been added to Malaysia's national heritage list. Rendang, for example, is mentioned in the Malay literature classic Hikayat Amir Hamzah, indicating that it existed as early as the 1550s, just after the Malacca Sultanate was defeated by Portuguese invaders. Lemang's origins can be traced all the way back to Malaysia's Aboriginal tribes. In the house opening, I think there is enough to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture.
Yes, candidate C, I agree with you that open houses during festivals are a good way to expose Malaysian traditions and culture because we can sample the local cuisine while also watching traditional dances. However, it is a good way but not the best way because open houses during festivals, it means that open houses are only hosted on a few select days throughout the year. We cannot predict the time of the international students coming to Malaysia. Therefore, we cannot guarantee that there is an open house activity during the time they arrive. That's why I think enjoying local foods is the easiest and the best way. We can eat anytime, anywhere without considering anything. For example, we can drink sirap pantung, which is a drink consisting of evaporate milk of condensed milk flavor with rose syrup, giving it a pink color while shopping in Pasar Malam. We can enjoy satay while viewing movies or dramas. However, for traditional dances performance, we are required to sit and watch for an extended period. So, I believe that introducing local foods is the greatest way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture because we can enjoy onde while watching traditional dances.
I'm delighted you say that the best method to improve Malaysian tradition and culture is through the open house. This is because I had previous experience participating in open house activities. My neighbor, Encik Adam, and his family had held an open house for our village during Hari Raya Aidilfitri for the past 2 years. I was quite enthusiastic and looking forward to this open house because it was my first time participating in an open house in my life. Although the although this open house is simple, I learned more about Malay heritage and culture after attending this open house. As the maxim goes, knowledge is power. For example, I've learned how to create delectable pastries like onde onde, ketupat, and so on. Furthermore, I may consume a variety of delicious local foods such as curry, nasi kelabu, satay, and others. Besides, I have the I have the option to keep close contact with my neighbors and other people. All of this is my best memory and I will never forget it. In addition, I'm looking forward to the next open house in the new year. However, 2019 was a pandemic year. This is the reason that the open house cannot be held since the number of cases of COVID-19 is increasing every day.
As you two have mentioned before, Malaysia has been home to many different cultures. Given its location, trade and colonial history, it has been influenced greatly by several regions of the world. It has a very diverse population consisting of several different ethnic groups such as Malay, Chinese, and Indian. As a result, Malaysian food is very mixed with influences from many different cultures from around the world. The food is mainly influenced by Thai, Chinese, Indonesian, and Indian cuisine. These influences manifest themselves in a variety of ways, from the cooking techniques and tools used to the exotic flavors and species used in dishes. I understand that international students might not have a similar taste like us, but Malaysia has many local foods that come with different flavors, styles, smells, and tastes. I believe that there was at least one of the dishes that they would be addicted to. Not only that, there is a very particular ethnic group in Malaysia, Papa Nyonya, which is of which is of mixed Chinese Malay blood, but they retain many Chinese customs and culture while adopting some Malay culture. In my opinion, the way to expose them to this great ethnic group is to provide Nyonya food like ayam bakar, ayam pongteh, acar, fish head, curry, and prawn chili paste. Their foods usually taste sour, sweet, and spicy. We can just take international students to Nyonya restaurants which are furnished with unique and different Papa Nyonya elements. To cite an instance, Eat Play Love restaurant in Johor Bahru having traditional Nyonya furnishing is a recommend restaurant for international students. They can enjoy their meal in this type of immersive restaurant and thus have an in-depth understanding of this culture. Besides, the better dressed with Kepanya Nyonya can bring them to the next level in Malaysia culture and traditions. I am pretty confident that they will like it because the Papa Nyonya culture is a completely new thing to them.
Um, I agree with candidate A that introducing Malaysia's culture by taking the students to Nyonya restaurants is the very great way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture because Malaysia is a food paradise. But we are in the COVID-19 pandemic nowadays. I would like to explain what is COVID-19. COVID-19 is defined as an illness caused by a novel coronavirus, now called Severe Acute Respiratory Syndrome Coronavirus 2, which was first identified amid an outbreak of respiratory illness cases in Wuhan City, China. Our lives are turned upside down as a result of the spread of COVID-19. We cannot live randomly. We must follow the SOP, which is Standard Operating Procedure. A standard operating procedure is a set of step-by-step instructions compiled by an organization to help people carry out routine operations. SOPs aim to reduce the risk of infection of COVID-19 among people. Bringing the students to the restaurant can be determined as a gathering activity. It will cause the percentage of infection COVID-19 to increase. The percentage of infection COVID-19 will rise as a result. I am convinced that it is both unsafe and harmful for all involved. Furthermore, all participants must remove their masks to sample the dish. Not only that, but during the COVID-19 epidemic, most restaurants did not offer dine-in service. As a result, the methods become ineffectual.
That cannot be true, candidate C. The restaurant serving local cuisine is still open. It is just not open for folks to come in and enjoy the local cuisine. However, there are always solutions to any difficulty. I have some suggestions for eating local foods during a pandemic. First and foremost, international students live in a technological world. Everyone, including ourselves, owns a cell phone. As a result, overseas students can use their mobile phones to order from apps such as GrabFood, Foodpanda, and so on. Although the cost of local food is higher than dine-in, we can eat it at any moment. Secondly, overseas students can discover resources such as YouTube, books, and so on to learn how to prepare local foods for themselves and their families at home. During this period, overseas students can broaden their knowledge of local cuisine and learn how to prepare it. Furthermore, overseas students can help them better their relationships with their families. This is because overseas students stay at home during pandemics and rarely leave the house except to acquire daily basis in stores. As a result, they spend more time at home. Cooking local food is one of the best ways for them to spend their free time. As a result, during a pandemic, international students can readily consume local food and gain knowledge of tradition and culture. What do you think, Candidate A?
I agree with you, candidate B. Teaching international students the way to cook local foods is also a method for them to understand Malaysian traditions and culture. After they have learned the process of preparation, they may attempt to prepare the dishes once they have returned home and miss our culture. Such a long-term impact for them, like what candidate B has said. We can order local foods using delivery as delivery is very popular and well developed in our country. Not only the costly foods in restaurants, but also cheap but delicious street foods. Yes, I agree that it is not a suitable time to take international students in dine-in activities. But candidate C, the open house activity during festivals is the most dangerous activity under the pandemic, right? There will be so many people gathering in the same house for such a long period. As you mentioned before, local foods are served, therefore, do they take their mask off while consuming? I don't think that an open house activity is, is encouraged to proceed according to our SOP. Therefore, I persist in my point that local food is the best way to introduce our culture and traditions even even if we are in a several situation because we have many solutions to overcome the difficulties we might face in the journey of Malaysia's foods. As I think that Malaysia is well developed in few sectors, especially promoting our foods. What's your opinion, candidate C?
After Candidate A's explanation, I think he has convinced me that local food is the most suitable way to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I think that the open houses and traditional dance are not suitable to conduct by now. So, I would like to say that we can introduce the international students to local food. From the point of view of Candidate B, we can order the local food by using applications such as GrabFood, Foodpanda, and others. We can also use the promoted code to reduce our spending rate. In other words, we are now in 21st century, which is an era of science and technology. We should know how to use these kinds of applications in our daily life as well as possible. The presence of these kinds of applications will make a chance for international students to taste the local food. For example, nasi lemak from Malays, roti canai from Indian, mooncake from Chinese, ayam pongteh from Nyonya, inaba from Kadazan Dusun. We will be able to communicate with international students and improve our communication abilities as a result of this wonderful opportunity. A stone kills two birds, as the saying goes. We can discuss each ethnic group in our country throughout dinner to help them learn more about us. Not only that, but our country's information will be passed on to their own countries, allowing more people to learn about our distinct culture. If our local cuisine is popular around the world, we would be proud of ourselves. Not only that, the information of our country will be carried forward back to their own country and let more people know about our unique culture. We should be proud of ourselves if our local food is popular globally. On the other hand, I would like to explain the reasons that I think that traditional dance and open houses during festivals are not suitable to introduce Malaysian traditions and culture. It is because the students seldom stay connected with the content of traditional dance nowadays, and the open houses are hard to organize during this pandemic of COVID-19. What is your opinion, Candidate B?
Well, candidate C. My opinion is that local food is the best way to introduce our Malaysian culture and traditions to overseas students. Why do I switch my focus from traditional dance to local cuisine? This is due to the fact that teaching traditional dance has huge problems. For example, another of the challenges was such a lack of resources. Stakeholders have just a negative attitude toward teaching traditional dances. Despite the challenges, traditional dance will continue to be taught to children if music teachers and music scholars gather together. Furthermore, even though there is a lack of literature on traditional dance, the research attempts to prescribe some dances and show their respective attire, props, and instruments. Attached are videos of many traditional dances to support teachers. Furthermore, many people in the 21st century are drawn to beautiful dances, and a new study finds that all of this is due largely to their bodies being much more symmetrical than those of the less coordinated. According to Life Science, the researchers discovered that men considered to be better dancers had a higher degree of physical symmetry, a factor that has previously been linked to general attractiveness and health. As a result, traditional dance has become obsolete. I believe that overseas students prefer to eat local foods rather than participate in traditional dances. This is due to the fact that traditional dances require a significant amount of money and time to be taught. When compared to traditional dancing, it is as simple as ABC to obtain local food in the country. Local food can be enjoyed in a variety of ways and channels. For example, as previously stated, international students can use apps such as Foodpanda, GrabFood, and others to take it. Besides, international students can undertake homemaking in their home to learn how to cook local foods. As a result, I strongly believe that introducing our Malaysian tradition and culture through local food is the greatest method to do so. What is your opinion, Candidate A?
Sounds like two of you agree with my point that local foods are the best way to introduce the culture and traditions of Malaysia to international students. By the way, the reason for persisting with my point from beginning to end is that our local foods were really delicious and brimming with our culture. For example, curry, a dish with a sauce seasoned with spices. Curry is special because it has a variety of tastes that is influenced by different races and cultures. In Malaysia, we are able to taste different styles of curry at the same time because of the mix of cultures. There are many types of curry: Chinese, Malay, Indian, et al. We can taste Malay's curry, which are usually coconut based and sweeter, such as rendang is drier and contains mostly meat and more coconut milk than conventional Malaysian curry. Besides, Chinese curry is quite a mild gravy style curry, although you can add chopped chilies, red pepper flakes, or cayenne pepper to give it more spices. We also have Indian curry, mamak curry, nyonya curry, et al. Different styles of curry give us different tastes and feelings. In my opinion, Malaysian culture and tradition can be condensed into an alternative way for people around the world that is into food. I understand traditional dances also can open a new door to international students, but traditional dances take more time and energy to prepare. Unlike local foods, which can be ordered from everywhere anytime. No matter preparing a show or teaching them in dancing, it takes more process and energy because we have to stay connected with professional traditional dancers because we are not skilled in this or we even don't know it before. Yeah, I am sure that traditional dances will have a good impact on international students, but local foods are way easier, right? I also see the point from candidate C that open houses gather traditional dance shows and local foods in the same place at the same time. But we should understand that it is not a suitable time for us to stay in a crowded place even though we are going to change into an epidemic phase. Besides, an open house during a festival needs cooperation from different people. So local foods are way easier, right? Once again, candidate B and candidate C. Do you agree that my point is the best to introduce Malaysian traditions and cultures?
After listening to all of this discussion, I agree with your point that the local food is the best to introduce Malaysian traditions and cultures.
Lastly, I totally agree that local food is the best way to introduce Malaysian traditions and cultures as we are in the pandemic COVID-19 now. Thank you.
In conclusion, the best way to introduce Malaysian cultures and tradition is local food. Thank you for listening. 能见，能见，你能见，stop。